Hi guys, today I want to talk about how to get to sleep, stay asleep and wake up on time or when you need to. I've had a lot of problems with sleep over my life, so I've tried lots of different things, and I'm just going to tell you the things that work for me, or the things that I've read that will work if you actually do them. Okay, let's start with being able to get up in the morning or get up at the time that your alarm goes off or whatever. Now, one of the tricks, and I haven't really tried this one myself, but I'll get into the ones I have tried in a minute, is to sort of tell yourself before you go off to sleep that you're going to wake up at, say it's 7:30, for example. Tell yourself, I'm going to wake up at 7:30, and see that number on the clock in your mind, on your alarm clock. Apparently this is just sort of a subliminal thingy to wake you up. I haven't tried it myself, but give it a go and let me know if it works for you, by giving me a thumbs up. Okay, but the one thing that does work for me, now I used to be one of these people. I actually had like a diagnosed sleep condition. It wasn't insomnia, but it was some other strange name thing. And I had a terrible time waking up in the morning. If I had an alarm on, I would click the snooze button, I'd go straight back to sleep, and that'd be it. It'd be ruined. I wouldn't make it wherever I was supposed to be going. If people would say, come and open the door and say, wake up or whatever, again, I'd go straight back to sleep and miss it as well. So the only thing that worked for me to stop me from going back to sleep all the time is, thank God for the invention of smartphones, because you can add like multiple alarms, and I've got like 5 or 6 or so, I can't even remember how many, alarms going off with the snooze button, because if you don't put the snooze button, you're just going to end up throwing your phone across the room, you know. So give yourself the satisfaction of having that snooze button, or being able to turn the alarm off altogether, not even snoozing it. I don't even have the snooze on mine. I just have the ability to press a button and it completely cancels that alarm. So that goes off, and then my second alarm is set for like 5 minutes after it, before you get back into sort of heavy sleep. So you do fall back to sleep, but before you get back into quite heavy sleep, the next alarm's going off 5 minutes later. So again, I cancel that alarm, and this happens about 5 or 6 times. And the very last alarm, instead of waiting the 5 minutes, it's like 3 or 4 minutes later. And by then, because you've woken up so many times within 30-minute span or whatever, your brain's just like, nah, I'm not getting back to sleep. You're far too awake, and your brain knows, oh, nah, that's it. There's too much stuff going on. I'm not going to be able to sleep. And you'll probably find that after maybe the 5th or 6th alarm, you will not be able to go back to sleep. So it is a much, much gentler way of waking up, as opposed to some screeching alarm with a snooze button that screeches every so many minutes after that. And having to rip out of bed while you just jolted out of this really deep sleep, and you've just jolted horribly out of it. So don't have like a horrible alarm noise, or some crap like that, unless you're like an uber heavy sleeper, and that's the only thing that you would notice. You wouldn't notice any other alarm. But I have sort of like relaxation music play for my alarm, so I wake up to like pan flutes and stuff like that. It is so much nicer to wake up to that than a horrible screeching tone. So I wake up to 5 or 6 alarms of gentle music, and then by the 5th or 6th alarm, my brain just goes, nah, we're not going back to sleep. It is so much easier, so much better, and you don't feel like you've been robbed of your sleep, and you're not all angry and aggro, because you've woken up a lot more naturally than jolted awake. So that's definitely what works for me. The other thing is, if you sometimes, like, even when your last alarm does go off, and you probably won't go back to sleep, but there might be a possibility of it. So you want to like sort of get out of bed to make sure that you don't. But you're still sitting there and you're, oh, I'm tired, I don't want to get out of bed yet or whatever. The way I found to make yourself get out of bed without just ripping yourself out of bed and going, just do it, is pull back your sheets, your blankets, whatever. You can keep them on your feet and your legs, because I know your feet get really cold and that's really uncomfortable. So just pull back your blankets from your torso, and right down to your privates, because then your bladder shrinks in the cold air, and you will have to get out of bed to go to the toilet, and it works like a charm. I guarantee it, like within 5 minutes, and it's probably going to be more like 2 or 3 minutes, if that, your bladder will shrink in the cold air and you will have to get up and go to the toilet. So that's another really, really, really good way to make sure that you get up in the morning. And it truly works. Even when I've gone to bed and I haven't been able to fall off to sleep or whatever, and I get like 5 hours sleep or something like that, I can still get up at 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning, whatever it is, by doing those two things. It works. Just a couple of tips on falling asleep and staying asleep. I know there's a lot of people to say to sleep in a cool room. That might work for some. That does not work for me. If I'm shivering and stuff, I will not be able to sleep. I can sleep when I'm hot and sweating more than I can sleep being cold. So if you're anything like me, and you feel like you're going to shiver or your feet are freezing or whatever, put your heater on at just a really, really low temperature in the background, so that it just takes that chill out of the air. The other thing too, I find that, and especially when you've got a cold, but I find that if there's a chill in the air, I will cough a bit, and coughing is definitely going to wake you up, because the back of my throat tickles a little bit in the cold air, especially when you have a cold. This is a big thing when you have a cold. So again, in the cooler months, having like an oil fin heater, on a really low temperature, just to take the chill out of the air, to stop you from coughing, so you won't wake up from the noise of yourself coughing. So there's some good tips on how to stay asleep. Another one is to play white noise, because it drowns out any other noises in the house or the neighbourhood. I've been listening to white noise when I sleep, and I have like an hour white noise MP3 on my phone, and that plays continually while I'm asleep, and it blocks out other noises. It's not going to block out disastrous noises, and that's a good thing, because you do want to hear those, but general noises, like someone talking quietly in the next room, or things that would, if you're a light sleeper, things that would generally wake you up but aren't really that loud. It's going to block them out, and that's going to help you stay to sleep. The other thing too is when you press play on that, after some time of doing this, your brain's going to be in a little bit of a, oh, there's that white noise, okay, it must be time for sleep. So it's another sort of subconscious trigger to help you get off to sleep as well. So yeah, playing white noise and having the heater on if you need it is a good way to stay asleep. Now, getting off to sleep. This is the one that I struggle with most and have done for years and years and years. It's a lot better than it used to be. But one of the tricks is to have sort of a little routine before you go to bed, whether it's checking the locks. And I've read this in, it was sort of like an audio book or something like that, called Sleep Better Without Drugs. They said to have a little routine before you go to bed. You check the locks, you go to the toilet, you clean your teeth, all these sort of things. Try to have the same routine every night, and it's just going to be another subconscious trigger to your mind that you're going to go to sleep soon. Also, the general rules of not having a TV in your room, not using your bed for anything but sleeping and sex. If you're going to play on your phone before you go to sleep, because sometimes that does make you drowsy, whether you're like reading reading a Kindle book or something. Different things on the phone can sometimes make someone drowsy. It depends on you, but I find that reading a book on Kindle does make me drowsy and helps me fall asleep. But whatever you do on your phone or on your tablet or whatever, get one of those screen filters where it dims the screen and it puts a red filter over your screen to block out the blue light, because if your eyes are seeing the blue light, it's telling it that it's daytime and not to go to sleep. So definitely have your red filter and dim the screen. Get a screen dimmer. They usually contain both. The screen dimmer app contains the dimmer and the red filter in one, generally. So make sure you get one of those. You definitely want to take out that blue, and you definitely want to reduce the brightness of the screen. Another thing to help yourself to get off to sleep, and this is a big one, don't miss your tiredness wave. Whatever you do, tiredness comes in waves, and if you miss one, it might be a long time before you get the next one. It could be 20 minutes, it could be half an hour, but it also could be 2 or 3 hours. And I've had this. This is a terrible thing to do. And I sometimes break my own rules, but try not to miss your tiredness wave. This is going to be one of the biggest things. I can't stress it enough. So if you're sitting there watching TV and all of a sudden you go, oh man, I'm so tired, I really want to go to bed. Unless it's ridiculously early and then you know that you're going to wake up in the middle of the night for 3 hours. Then get up and go to bed then, because you know that your tiredness wave's there. Now, if you do go to bed and your tiredness wave hadn't hit yet, you're lying there in bed and you're reading your Kindle book or whatever, and you start scrubbing your eyes with your fingers, that is your tiredness wave. As soon as you start scrubbing your eyes, that means you are ready to fall asleep. And if you scrub your eyes and continue on with your doing, you're going to miss your tiredness wave, and it could be a long time for the next one. So the minute you notice yourself scrubbing your eyes, put everything down and go to sleep, because that's when your tiredness wave is hitting. Okay, so another part from that audio book, whatever it was, called Sleep Better Without Drugs. The author said that rest is almost as restorative as sleep. And when he says that, he means if you can't get off to sleep, just lie there and rest. But whatever you do, don't stress out about the time. Don't go, oh my God, I'm not getting up. I've got so many things to do tomorrow. How am I ever going to wake up in the morning? Just relax and be stress-free. Turn off the lights. Don't look at your phone unless that makes you drowsy. Everything like that. Just be really, really peaceful and rest. And apparently that is almost as restorative as sleep. So if you can't sleep, just rest really well and you will probably be okay the next day. Another way to help you to fall off to sleep is to hum a tune in your head, because often when we go to bed we're thinking about things and we've got words in our head, and it's very hard to fall asleep if you're thinking things with words. So humming a tune in your head that has no words, it's not a song, it doesn't have words, so it's just a tune, that blocks out your ability to be able to think about anything and stress about anything and worry about anything, because you've got to concentrate on this tune. If you can't think of a tune without words in it, maybe think about The Entertainer, if you know what that is. A lot of ice cream trucks used to play it, where they go around and sell ice creams in the streets. Or count down in your head backwards from 50, and you'll probably find that before you get down to 0, you're asleep. And do it slowly. Don't go 50, 49, 48, 47, 46. It's more like 50, 49, 48. And just quite like silently in your head, and yeah, it'll probably work if you were going to fall off to sleep at all. Another one is also to grab a sleep meditation CD or MP3. I found that this did actually work for me quite well, but after a while I became immune to it. Everybody's different. I get immune after 3 days to sleeping pills, so you might be completely different, and a sleep meditation CD might work really, really well for you. Another thing not to do before you go to bed is be in bright lights. So don't put your lights on that are on your ceiling, especially fluoro tubes. Have warm white lamps on. Lamps are so much dimmer, it's going to signal to your body that it is later in the day. It's not bright, daytime hours or whatever. It's going to, if you want something that's sort of a bit more brighter than what, a bit more bright than what you would have had back in the good old days when they had lovely big fires going and kerosene lamps and things. So maybe just a bit brighter than that. And put your TV brightness down. So I always have my TV brightness quite low, and I only ever have lamps on unless I'm in the kitchen or bathroom or something. But in the living room and stuff, when I'm sitting around watching TV or reading a book or whatever, playing on the computer, it's just lamps, and the TV is really, really low, so that the room's not that bright. I don't mean you have to like be squinting to read a piece of paper, but you certainly don't want the bright 60 watt or 75 watt ceiling lights. I'm sorry, I don't know what that converts to in halogen and LED, but back in the good old days, what would have been a 60 watt or a 75 watt, that's far too bright to sit under when you are trying to wind down and get your body in the mood to go to sleep. Another simple thing is, before you get into bed, is to go to the toilet. Because I experience this myself, but if I go to bed and there's a hint of me needing to go to the toilet, I generally will not fall off to sleep, because my brain is like, nope, you need to go to the toilet. So no matter how hard I try, sometimes I just will not fall asleep if there's a hint of needing to go to the toilet. So even if you don't feel like you need to go, because, you know, the subliminal vision of the toilet there is probably going to make you want to go, you know, if you didn't think you needed to. If you miss your tiredness wave, and you've gone past it and all of a sudden you're wide awake again, whereas a minute ago you were scrubbing your eyes, that audio book, Sleep Better Without Drugs, says to get up and do something, and that will bring on another tiredness wave a lot quicker than if you just lay there waiting for it to happen. Now, I know that's hard, and I break this rule a lot myself, because you're tired, you don't want to get up, you don't want to do anything, you just want to be in the dark, and you just want to lie down, you just want to close your eyes. But having said that, sometimes when I do that, yeah, I'll get off to sleep, you know, within half an hour or so. But other times I can lie there for 3 hours and before the next tiredness wave comes. So at those times, you know, I'm kicking myself that I didn't get up and do something. Even if it's just going out into the kitchen and putting some dishes away or something, and then, you know, wait till you start to feel a little bit of a hint of tiredness again, and then go straight back to bed. So anyway, these things that I've said in this video here are a little bit different to the other YouTube videos out there that tell you how to wake up in the morning. So you might want to watch them to get a different perspective, but I've covered the things that they haven't covered generally. So I hope that they help. If you like this video, if it works for you or whatever, give me a thumbs up so I know that it did work for you. All right, guys, so best of luck, and talk to you later.